The Logan Square neighborhood is west of the Chicago River and north of Westtown and is known for its public square at Kedzie and Logan Boulevards and Milwaukee Avenue. Now, before people began settling there, it was nothing but an open prairie. The neighborhood has changed dramatically since it was claimed in 1836 by a New Yorker, Martin Kimball. The neighborhood has went through many gentrification, so many races have settled in this neighborhood. It was long home for the Norwegian community and the immigrant population from Eastern Europe and Poland.
When immigrants came to Chicago, Logan Square was one of the primary places that immigrants settled. This was because the rent was low and there were many job opportunities. In addition to the Eastern Europe and Poland immigrant population, there were also Scandinavians and Germans that settled there. But it is now predominantly Hispanic and has served as a neighborhood full of diverse backgrounds.
After the Chicago fire in 1871, Logan Square population grew rapidly because this was outside of the Chicago fire's limits.
In result, Logan Square did not have to go through the rebuilding period as most of the other neighborhoods did, so many people began moving there.
After World War I, the Logan Square neighborhood also grew at a fast pace. Immigrants moved further out Milwaukee Avenue. Polish, Russians, and Jews arrived to take their place. In the 1950s, when Mayor Daley started the Kennedy Expressway project and the Dearborn-Milwaukee subway, which is now the Blue Line, it affected this district, which made Logan Square population gradually decrease.
While learning the history of Logan Square, we came across various topics that related to class discussions, such as the Great Depression, creation of bungalows, suburbanization, and desegregation. As far as the creation of bungalow houses, they were first built in Logan Square around 1915. This was the start of a dynamic change within the neighborhood. Since Logan Square was home to working class citizens, the creation of bungalows symbolized upward mobility and respectability from the higher economic classes. The immigrants that worked in manufacturing plants near the Chicago River were the ones to start building bungalows along the streets of Logan Square. As far as the Great Depression in the 1930s, this caused the population to fall dramatically. Since mostly working class people lived here, it hit them badly, which caused the population to decrease. Many people began to live on the streets and had no food, which resulted in citizens depending on public aid. In the early 1960s, Logan Square began to experience suburbanization and deindustrialization, which began to create the gentrification of social class. Longtime residents and working class of European descent began to leave Logan Square, and Cuban and Puerto Rican families coming from poorer neighborhoods moved to Logan Square. In result, this caused the community to change. With Logan Square having many commercial strips, banks, attractive housing stock, good public transportation that links to the downtown area, it has attracted middle class professionals of all races since the 1970s. The neighborhood did not face racial segregation unlike many low income Latino and African American neighborhoods in Chicago. Now Taja will discuss the major events that happened in Logan Square.
Now, Logan Square is filled with gourmet coffee shops, scruffy dine-in bars, artisanal cocktail lounges, and many small local businesses and bike-friendly streets. When I say local, I mean by the key word of it describing many aspects of the Logan Square neighborhood scene that tells us that all of these things are surrounded by each other in one small area. There are a lot of places a person can go to seek out, such as the galleries that showcase local artists. Other major events in Logan Square are the various concerts and street fests that promote local upstart bands. In addition to music, there is the Tour de Fat, which is a festival hosted by New Belgium Brewing Company. They visit 10 locations throughout the United States, Chicago being one of them. Out of all of the places that they can host this festival, they choose the Palmer Square in Logan Square. There is also seasonal farmer markets available for the community to sell and buy produce or other necessities. Just like most neighborhoods in Chicago, Logan Square has cultural parades that show recognition to most cultures. Logan Square is a community that is consisting of diversified ethnic groups.
Now a Logan Square resident will share his experience on behalf of the neighborhood.
So, Elmer, could you tell us about your experience here in Logan Square and the gentrification and the changes that you've seen here in Logan Square?
Well, definitely. I think in the last 15 years, Logan Square has changed drastically. When I lived here and I lived right up the street on Kedzie Avenue, this was primarily a neighborhood full of gangs. There was a lot of crime in the area, and it was primarily minorities that lived in this neighborhood.
Okay.
Since the last 15 years, we've had a migration of people from the East Coast as well as the West Coast and other areas of the country, which has brought in a lot of business and it has changed it in a lot of positive ways. At the same time, I also feel that some of the poor people that used to live in this area have been moved out to different areas. It's almost like a diplomatic way that was done. The rents are nowhere where they used to be, 10 years ago. So it's changed in some positive ways and in some negative ways to some of us. But I know in the past, this was originally an Italian neighborhood, changed to Jewish neighborhood, and it went back and forth. But now it's a great neighborhood full of different shops and businesses. Definitely a safer area than it used to be.
Thank you for watching me and Janae's video. Now we're going to have Jacob talk about the significant buildings, parks, and other features in the Logan Square neighborhood.